And Germany's main political parties have agreed to increase defence funding by 100 billion euros, as Chancellor Scholz says he wants to modernise the armed forces. Germany's military has long been under-financed and poorly equipped. This new deal gets around strict budgetary rules and helps the government to meet NATO spending goals. Olaf Scholz says the new funding arrangements will mean Germany will make a greater contribution to European security.
The German Bundeswehr will be strengthened. It will be able to fulfill its defense mission better than ever before, and it will be able to make its contribution to NATO, so that we can defend ourselves against attacks at any time.
Well, here's DW correspondent Leonie von Hammerstein explaining why this €100 billion euro fund for Germany's army is so significant.
Yeah, it is a pretty significant change because you mentioned that Germany has spent infamously little money on its defense over the last decades, much to the criticism of its NATO allies, who've long been demanding that Germany meet its NATO obligations and raise its defense spending above 2% of its GDP. Bundeswehr officials have been complaining for years that Germany is unable to defend its country, is neglecting the ability to defend its country and its partners. There are many stories about how massive the shortcomings of the shortage of combat-ready equipment and ammunition really is. A recent report says only 40% of the Bundeswehr's helicopters are combat-ready. But we also have to remember the context. For decades, Germany has been extraordinarily wary of building up its military power because of its history, because of the destruction it brought on the continent and beyond during World War II. So that is kind of the context in which we have to see this change. And Olaf Scholz, we heard him there, so this Russia's war against Ukraine has basically led to a reckoning of decades of foreign and defense policy. And he has now emphasized that Germany needs to be able to defend itself.
So this is expected to go to a vote in Parliament on Friday. Is it likely to prove controversial?
Well, it is and it isn't. So yes, it has been controversially discussed over the last months, especially, within parties, especially on the left side of the political spectrum. So parts of the Green Party who see themselves as a pacifist party, parts of the Social Democrats, and most vocally the Left Party. And they have criticized that, as you said it, this extra fund that is now going to be anchored in the Constitution basically goes around Germany's very strict fiscal laws. And it has said, finds it hard to explain to voters why 100 billion euros can be spent on defense when other areas of the society also need urgent investments like climate protection, like education, like infrastructure. So the left has been sort of vocally opposing this, but Olaf Scholz needs a 2/3 majority to pass this, and he has that majority. All of his coalition partners are backing this, and so is the biggest opposition party in German parliament, the conservative CDU, CSU. So we are expecting the vote to pass this week.
OK, thank you for that, Leonie von Hammerstein.